Have you ever felt like you have all the potential in the world, but something is holding you back? Like you're smart, you're capable, but the results just aren't showing up. If so, you're going to want to hear the story of a young boy named Ryan. Ryan was, by all accounts, a brilliant kid. He could grasp complex ideas in a flash and solve problems that stumped his classmates. Everyone, including his teachers and parents, saw his incredible potential. But Ryan had a secret struggle. He lacked discipline and focus. His mind was like a butterfly, flitting from one thought to another. One moment he'd be studying, and the next, he'd be lost in a daydream, sketching in his notebook, or staring out the window. Procrastination was his constant companion. He'd tell himself, "I'll do it later. I've got plenty of time," relying on his natural intelligence to pull him through at the last minute. This strategy worked for a while, letting him scrape by on small tests and assignments. But a major challenge was just around the corner, one that would test the limits of his talent-only approach. The day of the big scholarship exam arrived. This wasn't just any test. It was the key to a prestigious school, a gateway to a brighter future. Ryan walked in feeling confident, maybe a little too confident. He believed his smarts would be enough. But as he looked at the questions, his usual lack of focus kicked in. His mind wandered. He'd read a question and suddenly a memory from a movie would pop into his head. He'd start a math problem, then get distracted by a noise outside. Time slipped away. When the papers were collected, Ryan felt a knot of dread in his stomach. He knew he hadn't done his best. The results came a few weeks later, and they were a crushing blow. He had failed. Seeing the names of his less naturally gifted but more hardworking peers on the acceptance list was a painful wake-up call. It was in that moment of bitter disappointment that Ryan understood a profound truth. Intelligence without discipline is like a powerful car without a steering wheel. You have all the horsepower, but you can't direct it where you need to go. Humbled and determined to change, Ryan sought the guidance of a wise figure in his town, a retired athlete known as Coach Miller. He wasn't a typical academic tutor. His expertise was in the mental game. Ryan found him in his quiet garden practicing archery. Coach Miller listened patiently to Ryan's story, then handed him a bow and arrow. He told him, "Look at the target. What else do you see?" Ryan listed everything: the trees, the sky, a bird flying by. Coach Miller smiled and said, "That's the problem. When a true archer aims, they see only one thing, the center of the target. Everything else fades away. This is focus. Your mind is your bow, and your discipline is the steady hand that aims it." This simple archery lesson was the beginning of Ryan's transformation. Coach Miller knew that building mental discipline wasn't about complex theories. It was about simple, actionable rules. He gave Ryan 4 principles to live by. The first was to control your thoughts. "Your mind will wander," Coach Miller explained, "but you have the power to gently guide it back. Acknowledge the distracting thought, then let it go and return to your task. Don't fight it. Just redirect it." The second rule was to build habits. Discipline isn't about motivation, it's about routine. Start small. Set a specific time to study every single day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. The consistency is what builds the mental muscle. The third rule was to actively avoid distractions. "Create your own archery range," he said. "When it's time to study, put your phone in another room. Turn off notifications. Tell your family you need uninterrupted time. Make your environment work for you, not against you." And the final, most important rule was to practice daily. Mental discipline is a skill, just like archery, Coach Miller emphasized. You can't just do it once and expect to be a master. You must practice every single day. Some days will be harder than others, but you must show up. Armed with these 4 rules, Ryan began his journey. It was anything but easy. The first few days were a battle. His mind, so used to roaming free, rebelled. He would sit down to study, and the urge to check his phone or just stare into space was overwhelming. He felt restless and frustrated. There were moments he wanted to give up, believing he was just not wired for this kind of focus. But then he'd remember Coach Miller's words, "Gently guide it back." So he would take a deep breath, acknowledge the distraction, and force his attention back to the textbook. He started with just 25-minute blocks of focused work, followed by a 5-minute break. It was a struggle, but he stuck to his schedule. He created a dedicated study corner, free from all clutter and digital devices. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. The 25-minute block started to feel shorter. His mind wandered less. He found himself getting absorbed in his subjects, discovering a new kind of satisfaction in deep work. The daily practice was creating new neural pathways. His mental muscles were getting stronger. He was no longer just a boy with a smart brain. He was becoming the master of his own mind. A year went by, another scholarship exam was announced. This time Ryan was a different person. He didn't feel cocky or overconfident. Instead, he felt a quiet sense of readiness, a calm strength that came from a year of dedicated practice. He had followed Coach Miller's 4 rules religiously. His study sessions were now long, productive, and focused. His procrastination habit was a distant memory, replaced by a disciplined routine. On the day of the exam, he walked into the hall and sat down. When the test began, he entered a state of flow. The world around him faded away. There was only him, the questions, and the target. He moved through the paper with a calm and focused intensity that he had never experienced before. When the results were posted, Ryan's name was at the very top of the list. He hadn't just passed, he had ranked first. The feeling was 1,000 times better than any easy win he had ever experienced. It wasn't just the joy of success. It was the deep satisfaction of knowing he had earned it. He had conquered not just the exam, but himself. Ryan's story teaches us a timeless lesson. Many of us are born with gifts, with intelligence, with talent. But these are just the raw materials. The architect of success is discipline. The tool that carves out our achievements is focus. Your mind can be your greatest asset or your biggest obstacle. Left untamed, it's like a wild horse pulling you in 1,000 different directions, leading you nowhere. But with the reins of discipline, you can train that horse. You can steer it with focus towards any destination you choose. So ask yourself, are you letting your mind run wild, or are you holding the reins? Success isn't about waiting for motivation to strike. It's about building the discipline to show up day after day and focusing your energy on the target. Control your thoughts, build your habits, eliminate distractions, and practice every single day. That is the true path to unlocking your potential and achieving the success you deserve. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content to help you build a better life. We'd love to hear about your own journey with discipline in the comments below. See you in the next video.